What's up everyone, it's Gabby Trades here and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm really excited to be talking with Krisztina Simmons, someone who approaches markets and financial global shifts from a very different and fascinating angle. But before we get rolling, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a breakdown. For my traders watching, you know I'm very technical and price action focused, and I don't expect everyone to believe in astrology. You don't have to. I invited Krisztina because she studies long-term cycles, geopolitical shifts, and behavioral patterns in a way that surprisingly often lines up with macro themes that we already trade. Krisztina has a unique background from psychiatric nurse to symbolic systems and eventually financial astrology, and she blends historical research, geopolitics, and market cycles into her framework. Whether you take astrology literally or just see it as another way of looking at the global cycles, I think you'll find her insights super valuable, especially around the shift from the West to the East, the currency powers, and how technology and resources might reshape the markets. You can find her at urbanwitch.org, but today she's here with us to talk about how the global balance of power may be shifting from the Western world towards the East. How are you feeling today? And welcome to the Gabby Trades channel.
Hi, Gabby. Thank you so much for having me. I'm also very, very excited. I am really obsessed with astrology. And recently, yes, you too?
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Very good. Yes, a lot of people finally realizing, the planetary cycles actually affecting not only the market, but also our life. So finally, we reached the stage where people are relying on astrology. At least they are using as a compass because of you don't have to make your life around astrology, but just use it as a compass in your life. So that's very, very important.
Yes, I agree. But I have this really interesting question because your background is so interesting. How did you end up, after doing all this psychiatric nursing and special ed energy work, how did you get into money, into markets, and the global power shifts in your astrological work specifically?
So yes, actually, I have chosen to do my master's from, psychiatric nurse and also special educational teacher. But those kind of careers never going to pay you. So I just gave all the time, and nothing was in return. And in 2020, during the vid, uh, you know. Uh, I actually was like, okay, I have to change my career a little bit. I already started to do research and forensic astrology and medical astrology. I was teaching it. So, medical astrology and financial astrology are using the same cycles as well. And when I realized a lot of similarity, I was like, you know what, I just going to check the market. And then I took on to a class, which is a financial astrology class. And a year later, I was like, all right, so I understand the astrology of finances, but I don't understand the market. So I went back to college again and I did that certified financial practitioner. And I was like, okay, so at least I know the language of finances and I can start to invest. And that's when I started to invest, checking the cycles. And right now, this year actually, I was up to $95,000 with my investment. So that was amazing. Yeah. Right now, it's withdrawed a little bit. So we are down $25,000 from the profit. But I was not panicking because I know what's going to happen, in some cases next year. And I was like, okay, I'm going to keep my money, my invested money, because I'm anyway a long-term investor. I don't do short-term trading.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I've watched your work. I've watched you on many other podcasts, and my audience trades crypto. We are into indices, forex. So when you, for example, today start talking about Saturn and Pluto and the Uranus cycles, I'm always translating this, okay, what does that do to the flows? What does that do to the liquidity or to the risk on and off? So that's why I want to start with I know that you described the mid 2020s, especially 2026 and 2028, as more important even than 2020. So, from an astrological perspective, what makes that window such a huge turning point for the world?
All right, so 2020 was already, very important because that's when we had the Pluto-Saturn conjunction and every synodic cycle. By the way, I wanted to tell everyone, to watch the astrology documentary, which is, and I know I forget, let me see, I wrote it down here and I watched it many times, but that was about the cycles. All right, so I'm going to come back to that because I just forgot the title of that. But there is a documentary out there, Changings of God, Changings of God.
Okay.
That is the documentary, 9 series, and it's all of them over an hour. Amazing, amazing documentary. It talks about the synodic cycle, the market, the warfare, and its history actually, but it includes the synodic cycle. So we started with the vid, right, in 2020 when we had Pluto-Saturn conjunction. That is actually, decrease the population. Actually, it means in astrology, Pluto is death, Saturn in Vedic astrology, it's also sees and death, sees life. So obviously that started over there. But why is it very important 2025, 26, and 28? Because 28, that Pluto Saturn actually, that they conjuncted in 2020, it's gonna square with each other's. It's making a very, very harsh angle. And that is actually in financial astrology and in market analysis, usually the whole entire market. Okay.
Wow.
So that's what it is. 2026, Gabby, that is when we have a lot of planetary changes. We already experienced this year, 2025, because the planets ingressed and introduced themselves. The outer planet for a little bit. So Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, right? The nodes are going to shift to Aquarius and Leo position, the axis, right? So then also going to have, yes, you always have to check axis energy in astrology. And we also going to have Saturn-Neptune conjunction. When Saturn-Neptune conjuncted in Aries, we had the civil war in America. Right now, we're gonna have Uranus going to Gemini. America, the US chart, the Sibly chart has a Sagittarius ascendant. And then the Sibly chart, Uranus is actually at 7 degrees. So on the 250th birthday of the US, July 4th, we have by transit a Uranus-Mars conjunction, 1.5 degree away, natal Uranus, with Saturn Neptune also over there, which is a civil, no matter what, guys. It's unfortunately, I don't want America to fail. I live here. I love America.
Yeah,
I love
of
America.
course.
And, it is just, I want to help you guys to get prepared because we are shifting to the east. And if you know history, that's why I left Hungary, where I was raised and born, because history and geography, education in Hungary was very, very deep and we studied a lot. So education was amazing back then. So we were studying about everything. And obviously, you understand the history. And that's why I always love to do the research also. So every kind of empire in history, Ottoman, Roman, really, when it was flourishing, it was only 250 years. Usually it was kept for 500 years, but the flourishing was 250. And America is reaching. So it's going to shift the power from the west to the east. All right. So that's what's happening next year.
Wow. And that's happening next year. So did I understand correctly that that is going to happen when the planets hit 0 degrees of Aries?
So one of them, yes. So one of them is Saturn-Neptune conjunction, February 20th, 3 days after the hybrid solar eclipse, actually in Aquarius, which is surveillance issue and cyber and cryptocurrency. Aquarius rules all of that. And, then 3 days later, we have Saturn Neptune conjunction exact by minute. And last time this year, then it was like actually exact by degrees, but not by minute. Um, I mean, it was conjuncted by degrees, but not by minute. We had the market manipulation by Taurus. So that's when we experience, like, all right, when the recent administration, Donald Trump actually, like introduced tariff to the world, that's when we had the major pullback. So I accept at least a 6 weeks major pullback. Saturn Neptune going to happen on the world axis. Yes, it's a collective shift. It is something where we are coming from, we never going to go back. So it's a crack is opening, all right. But usually in financial astrology, we checking the outer planets for long term and market analysis for long term. And inner planet, if you are actually short trade, like day trading, then we checking the moon cycles. But I'm not talking about that because then we have to talk about over 10 hours and I have to explain a lot of things.
We'll have another show, don't worry.
Okay. All right. So what's happening right now with this? So the whole entire collective going to shift. And you know what? A lot of people is fearing this, but you don't have to, because you were born for a reason right now, because you wanted to born right now. You wanted to be actually in this kind of reset because it's going to be huge. Historical parallel of Saturn Neptune always going to show wars and market manipulation, especially Saturn in Aries. We did have a lot of through a massive thing during those times. So we can also accept something to do with, like the stock over there with the gun stocks as well. But in general, that indicates. And, a lot of people say, all right, but if it's going to be any kind of how can the stock market actually become better by end of the year? Guys, whenever we have war, a lot of people is actually taking profit from it. So you have to understand, and why is the global shift happening right now? You have to understand, I was talking about the historical parallel of the empires. Usually it is going to flourish for 250 years and after it's collapsing. That's what's happening in history. But on the other hand, the tariff itself, what is the recent administration set, right? It's going to change the alliances on the world. Right now, you can see BRICS nation in rise, all right? What's happening with the 27 is the major BRIC nations, but right now, altogether, they are 20, and right now, I believe the today news like 22 nations altogether. These 22 nations earns more than 80%, actually 92% of Earth's minerals.
Wow.
Rare earth minerals. All right. So China, Brazil, Venezuela, guys, they have the rare earth mineral. What do we need? What do we do with rare earth mineral? Everything. Anything to do with lithium, uranium, bauxite, niobium, any kind of rare earth mineral we need in pipeline. Niobium is actually the one which is corrosion free and also it's heat resistant as well. Bauxite in Jamaica, right? And the red soil, but anywhere around with BRIC nation, and China actually has a lot of earth mineral, what the US need. And China already started, not right now, 15 years ago, because I'm checking right now the history. They already started not to manipulate the market, but to get the power to themselves and shift the power to themselves. It didn't happen to one day to another, guys. It was a long, long process. And the East empires right now and like countries right now, and all of those countries has a lot of problem. Every single countries have problems, but they are also investing in education. They also very tied and close to family as well, and that's very important because of the family is structure of the base cell of the government. So because they invest in family education and healthcare as well, and actually China, the next 5 years want to expand the longevity of the Chinese people with 2 years minimum, and they cleaning up the air and everything they have, and they sell more electric vehicle I know than Tesla ever. They came up with a very small battery, not like the Tesla vehicles has, which you need to change every 4 years, 5 years, which cost $20,000. So only the people who has money can afford that. Okay, so the contraindication over here. So that's what's happening because they actually own the earth mineral in America. They also have we're gonna have actually an AI bubble um, um, burst, just like in 1998 and 2000. Okay, why?
Yeah.
And then in 1998, Saturn was in Aries also. But when it's burst, Saturn already went to Taurus very early degrees by astrologically when I'm talking about that. So Saturn in Aries, it's in 4. And right now, even if it's gonna make a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius, which is AI and cryptocurrency, or Uranus to in Gemini, which is also AI cryptocurrency, right? And 3D printing, things like that, technology, a holographic image. It's still, the sextile is still going to create a bubble pop.
Wow. So
So, yeah.
the BRICS are clearly controlling a huge share of the global resources. But there is this thing that they're potentially moving towards their own currency system, which is outside the US dollar, right?
Yes.
So what are the keys really from astrological perspective when you think about a serious BRICS style money block created, and how fast do you think that might play out? For me, like from a trading perspective, I never think that it's going to be, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning and the dollar is gonna go to zero. I'm more think of it as a long, messy transition if it actually happens, but I'm interested to hear what you think.
All right. So it's not that long anymore. All right. So this year, 2025, as it is today, the US dollar from January on till today dropped 12%. Inflation is 12%. By the way, Neptune in astrology is inflation, Saturn is deflation. Conjunct together, there is bubbles going to pop, right? Uh, Saturn also is very old traditional countries. For example, Neptune is global power taking over, okay, but old traditional countries. But the other hand is, I'm sorry, you owe the dollar. We were talking about the dollars. All right. So the US dollar, the astrology chart of the US dollar will have a Saturn return in Aries, which is in fall next year. By the time then Uranus Mars by transit gonna be on America's natal Uranus, okay? So that's going to initiate the dollar decrease. The dollar could decrease 40%.
Yeah.
So that is huge, guys. That is a huge loss over there. America has 3.7 trillion, the $37 trillion $37 trillion debts. Okay? This is huge. What do you do with the debts? Obviously, because of printable money is an issue right now because they keep printing in the system. That's why, inflation and it's deflate the value of the dollar, right? And that's what's going to happen with the Saturn return over that. They are going to they want to actually uh, decrease the value of the dollar because then they don't have to give back that much money, but they cannot afford this much debt right now, right? So that's what's happening. They actually decreasing the value. So in real life, it's not gonna worth 37 trillion. So they have to do that. But when they decrease the value, what's going to go up? Silver, gold, copper, any kind of metal which is, like precious metal, they're going to skyrocket. And I'm going to do the astrology term for that as well. But yes, the dollar, and it's not far away because of the dollar. The US dollar chart has a Saturn return, and the US Sibly chart has Saturn, Neptune in the fifth house, and also the Uranus return in the seventh house of open enemies. The US also going to have forced reparations. So you always, when I actually check the chart, I check the recent political party, which is always the 10th house of the US, and the fourth house also the opposition, right? I check the politicians. So I always check Vance, Trump, Rubio. I always check all of them chart, because I want to know what's going on over there. And then the dollar, the money, and the BRIC nation in 2026 said they're going to come up with their own currency. So we are moving from petrodollar actually to the east, what they're going to create. At this moment, Saudi Arabia, right, big friends right now with the US, Saudi Arabia is actually going to, and it paid with yuan, with Chinese currency for the oil. And the recent administration of the US couldn't say anything. And right now, China expected 182 countries who can pay with yuan, with Chinese currency. So it's going to ruble, Russian currency, and also Chinese currency going to increase its values while the American dollar going to decrease. But the moment they're going to create that BRIC currency, that's going to be international, and then it's going to go higher. Yes.
Wow, you really make it sound like the divide is going to be even sharper, almost like two parallel financial internets that are fighting. But just to remind everyone, by the way, none of this is financial advice. But if you're in crypto, I think that these are some big currents that you want to be aware of, and not just the next 4-hour candle. These are long-term astrological predictions that we're talking about here. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So, well, you're in the West. Are you planning to move to the East?
Yes, we are talking about that at this moment. I don't, I have two sons and they are teenagers. Saturn in Aries, usually it's creating, they're going to draft youth for unfortunately. So because of Saturn-Neptune conjunction, it could be religious as well, historical parallel. It could do something with the Pope again. Last year, we had that conjunction already, and I predicted 18 months before the Pope going close to this day, and he did. And I know the new Pope, but again, something could happen actually with the Vatican and with the Pope, unfortunately, and it could create some kind of religious group, some kind of in the name of my God, your God, whatever. That's why I'm really spiritual and I became Buddhist, because at least that is a philosophy. I don't hurt anyone. I just want to help guys, a kind of situation. But yes, so it could be very, very harsh actually. But if you are ready, because I live in a place where it's a lot of hurricane, and I always have to be ready for hurricane season. And then I have even the jackets next to the beds, when it's hurricane. So if the water going to rise in the house, you're not going to suffocate, So I'm getting ready for everything. If you are ready and not surprised, guys, it's not going to hit you hard, guys. It's not fear monitoring. Unfortunately, this is synodic cycles, that is cycles which is always happening in history, planetary wise as well. And we just have to get ready to make sure we are safe. On the other hand, cryptocurrency, right? Cryptocurrency pulled back right now, and a lot of people asking, like, why is that? Well, guys, Uranus in Taurus, it's in fall, and Uranus is cryptocurrency. And
But
last
until it
time,
comes to Gemini, it will be very happy in Gemini. I'm waiting
very
for
well.
that.
But you know what? Right now, Uranus also in retrograde, so that's also weakening the position. And by Vedic astrology, Uranus also in Taurus. So when by Vedic and Western something is in fall, that's one. That's when the crypto going down badly. So right now, if you didn't enter the market, the crypto market, you were complaining it's too high. This is the time right now to buy. Because then you are going to be a lot better.
Financial.
Yes, not financial advice. No, 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 not financial advice.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are complaining, my friends, oh my God, it's too late. You bought it early on. And I was like, yeah, I bought it earlier, but whatever.
But you still have
Just
there is opportunities. There is opportunities. Yeah. Uh, you also talk a lot about, I think another very interesting point would be the real estate and housing bubbles, because I've heard you talk about it a lot, and you were linking that to the eclipses and the nodes in signs like Leo and Cancer. Cancer obviously ruling real estate. And how are these aligning with housing bubbles and crashes? So do you think that in future property is going to become cheaper? And also, how does that property or housing story really aligns with the west to the east shift? So where do you see the biggest risks and opportunities?
All right, so housing market going to totally change. First of all, unfortunately, when Uranus goes to Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius and its trine, obviously AI going to take over 43% of the jobs, right? So it's going to cut out realtors. So they're gonna be in trouble over there because of, we're not going to need a third party, to process payment or, selling, because everything will be available, about the house online, and it's almost like a holographic image, and you can go in the room with holographic. So that's one thing over here. So in historical parallel, because that's also Vedic and Vedic and Western again. So by Vedic, we're going to have actually the eclipses already in Cancer and Capricorn. And Cancer south node always pushing the market. So when in 2008 we had the crash, we had the same astrological sky we had by Western astrology. We started to have Aquarius Leo axis, right? But by Vedic, we were already in Capricorn and Cancer because it's 23, 24 degrees between Vedic and Western astrology. So that's when the clash happened. But otherwise, we're going to minimize our living situation. People are not going to start to collect what is the clutters anymore. America has actually, the US has Jupiter in the 8th house in Cancer as started. So in America, it's biggest car, biggest house, who has the biggest bike. Everything has to be big. Why in Europe you have a tiny small apartment, just like a small room to sleep because you don't spend a lot of time over there. You have a bigger living room. So that's what's going to happen, okay? Or bigger outside place. We also have Uranus. We're gonna have Uranus in Gemini and the other Pluto in Aquarius trining. This is box housing and Tesla houses, small, minimalized living situation. So it's going to make availability for people who couldn't afford, for veterans, the people who are actually pushed aside of the society, the suppressed people, the one who is underprivileged, they will be capable to buy those box houses. And you'd have seen Elon Musk actually, right? To live 8 months, he lived in a box houses, and right now he partnered up, and right now he's created the Tesla houses because of his experience in block houses. So that's what happen. That's why Pluto in Aquarius people, like-minded people, going to live in community. It's already started in northern countries in Europe. They started to have those kind of round communities. There is only 10 houses. And the community is a little bit further from each other's, but those 10 houses help each other's. They taking care of each other's children. So that could happen. Obviously, not in huge cities like there is skyscrapers, but anyway, happening.
Yeah, okay. That's a very interesting angle. I thought it's more like, oh, go and sell your house right now while it's still high in price. But okay, I kind of like this angle, to be honest. What I'm more interested about, and I think a lot of people watching this could feel the pressure you mentioned about the AI replacing a lot of the jobs. So, if you're a freelancer right now, for example, competing with AI, all those gig jobs are now potentially already automated. So not necessarily saying that robots are going to take our jobs, but do you think that this is going to be a big theme and something that, some tension that we need to be aware of? What are the tension points in astrology for that?
All right. So just let me, yes, AI is like 43% of jobs going to be taking over. Listen, robots going to clean the houses, we going to bypass even doctors. We already have teledoctors. And, I keep saying that you're going to drop just a a drop of blood you're going to put on your computer. It's gonna analyze, okay, you can have cancer in 3 or 5 years if you're going to keep eating this and this. You can go and choose a holistic doctor, or you can choose, like some parasite cleans or a Western medicine, Eastern medicine. It's going to give you all kind of opportunity actually where can you go, but everything going to be actually computerized, and AI could be a huge threat. Yes. However, that's why I keep telling to young generation, Gen Z, obviously, they're not going to have issues with that because they know how to use computer. The older the people are, I tell them, put away your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, and go online and start to study 20-25 minutes daily how to use AI. Unfortunately, people still use ChatGPT for, write an email, and it's not even their wording, obviously. So sometimes they don't understand their own email. And that's the issue over there. So learn how to use it, be smarter. The good thing is AI does have not emotion, not yet, hopefully won't. That's, I don't want to get in a Westworld kind of, movie series, or, the Ex Machina. When I saw that 7 years ago, I was so scared, and here we are, you know. But for example, AI, if you just think of that, it could stop, for example, 3D printed organs, could stop actually organ trafficking. It could stop trafficking and child abuse, because ill-minded people, that, so it could stop. So it could be in some version very, very good. All right. But obviously, you will need to learn how to use it. And a lot of people still going to be like, I need some human interaction. So that's very important, guys, to get grounded, to walk barefoot, to hug someone a day, to help one person at least, smile someone, help someone every single day. Have human interactions. Talk to your children. Never allow a phone by the dinner table, for example. Make sure you are listening. And then you will be fine because you can incorporate AI to your life because that's going to be the future, but you're not going to lose your human soul. So yes,
Wow.
the AI could take over a lot of jobs. You know, even 3D printing, because I was like, all right, but the labor, what they are doing on farms, for example, and with building construction, maybe it's gonna be the less. But right now, I started to see who they are actually creating the bricks walls with 3D printing. So I was like, okay, so that's not safe also. So unfortunately, we just have to learn. And guys, not every single country going to be the same right away, because not every country is capitalist country. Not every country going to move forward exactly the same way, right? Because, for example, in India, only 15% is actually capable to buy and sell things. Like to own things. So when a country is very, very poor, for example, not necessarily gonna hit exactly the same way as in a country which is if improving and the capitalist country could be in danger.
Right. Okay, so for someone listening who isn't an astrologer, obviously that's most of our, watchers and listeners. But a lot of our viewers are traders, some professionals, some learning. But even if you are just a normal person worrying about what's going to happen with the shift from the west to the east, be it inflation or they're worried about the AI, you gave some really good practical things that people should really focus on. Um, is there anything else that you would recommend us, like, or our generation to like focus on in actually everyone in the next few years from a trading perspective, markets perspective?
Yes, market perspective. I just going to actually list a few things over here. So January 26th, when Neptune going to enter Aries, we going to have the medical technology and anything to do with big pharma, some kind of heroic medicine going to come up, right? Because Neptune in Aries is the mysticism with swords over there, or with market actually it is also the oil as well. So we're going to eventually go from oil to electric vehicle, but it's going to be around 5 to 10 years. But there is some kind of pharmaceutical tech, pharmaceuticals like big pharma giant like Pfizer. When Neptune enters Aries, actually it could go up, but when Saturn going to come in and conjunct, then it could show a huge drop over there. And yes, definitely Neptune in Aries could be something to do with oil crisis as well and price manipulation, or maybe, like China or Russia not going to sell oil or heating oil for some Western countries. So it's going to be some kind of seize over there. And that could increase the oil, or it could create some kind of with drilling, some kind of issue in the ocean. And then on when Saturn goes to Aries, anything to do with physical infrastructure, in what is that physical infrastructure? So, for example, lumber, anything to do with steel, for example, road building. Those assets going to start to gain those companies, something to do with bag materials, Caterpillar, Komatsu, those are actually could increase. But there is going to be also some kind of water scarcity. So obviously the water stock also going to be like there is less water or toxic water. So the water stock itself could also increase. And because February 17, we have an annual solar eclipse, and it's going to happen in Aquarius, which ruled by Uranus, which rules lithium and uranium and energy stock. Actually, it could increase the value of Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, Black Power, anything to do with hydrogen, uh, driven vehicles, or anything to do with uranium and lithium as well. And it's also going to increase the off-grid living as well. So, the block houses, the Tesla houses, you will see if you want to invest over there. But also, we're going to have a lot more solar flares. And, solar flares could create some kind of blackout, actually. And it could create some kind of surveillance issues and market manipulation. It could be cyber as well during this time. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And, anything to do with because of Saturn Neptune conjunction, also, that could be something to do with hormone therapy, opioid, and there could be some kind of lawsuit, because of the with vitamin. Right now the statistic going to come out because another side effects. And, that's why they're going to lose and decrease the value of their stock over there. So, yes.
Wow. Very,
And
very interesting times. I just want to put a side note because I don't think we spoke about that, and probably you have something very interesting to say. But we should remember that we have Pluto in Aquarius, right? Aquarius ruling the people, ruling just big groups of people. I think that a lot of the people are going to get really rebellious against the systems in this particular 20-year cycle. Yeah, that's correct, right? Yeah.
yes, it's correct because we're going to have South Node also moving to Leo, and Leo is kings, monarchy, also people with Leo rising, Leo sign, the sun sign. Yes, which is trans and Vent also, and we do have also Charles has Leo in the fourth house. Yes, so anyone or the monarchy going to be over. By the way, I checked Saudi Arabia and Saturn Neptune conjunction going to be the across the Saudi Arabia Libra Sun, and the Sun is the king. So I think next year the prince going to take over in Saudi Arabia.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, if he has that in his, which house did you say?
So not him, but actually Saudi Arabia, the countries.
Oh, the country itself charts. Okay, yeah.
Hmm? So
That
the
makes sense.
Saturn oppose the king, the sun. So it's a takeover.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting. I wonder how all of this that we spoke about is going to turn around in Saudi Arabia specifically, because they're trying to get ahead, but I think it's going to take them a lot more years to get to where they want to go with their current innovations. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what they do with that. But
idea about because of we have because we have the very first degrees when a planet ingresses. It's very important, the outer planet. So Pluto has to go, on the mid, like 9 degrees back and forth over there in Aquarius to create something. Or Neptune also for Saudi Arabia. Neptune is oil, Saudi Arabia, obviously, based on, the GDPs, based on oil over there. So it has to be something to do with within like 5 years when Neptune going to go up to the degree over there back and forth when it's going to actually create a huge change. I mean, they are rich country anyway, so I'm not scared of that, but yes, that in 5 years there is. But next year, I think either in England also in U.S. administration, we will have a change also. Yes.
Wow, I'm looking forward to all of that. Well, I know that I hope people are not paralyzed. I would like to end on a grounded sort of way because all of this sounds very intense for a lot of people. I'm sure my hope is that people are feeling empowered rather than scared. Like, okay, I can learn from this. I can adjust. I can position myself, whether through skills or savings or just being more conscious about the systems that we rely on. So Christina, thank you so much for this. I think I personally found a lot of value in it. I want you to do my astrology, so I'll be in contact with that. But again, I also want to say for anyone who wants to go deeper in your 150-page financial astrology guide and your forecasts by rising signs, where's the best place for them to find you and your work?
That is, I do have actually, my YouTube channel is Cosmic Insight Astrology, and I talk a lot about finances and investigative astrology as well, and mundane perspective. So I analyzing countries over there. And my website is urbanwitch.org, and I have my work on my website. You can purchase from there directly, please. And don't get scared, guys, because there is a lot of good opportunities actually, which is, going to come in, and we will be okay. We just have to get prepared and change the tactic. That's it. If you change the tactic right now, and if you're aware, you're always going to be okay.
I agree. And I'm very positive. I know it's going to be hard, but a lot of people are born with very hard aspects and they live their life, they make it through. So I think we'll all going to be fine. Well, Christina, we're going to link all of Christina's work, you guys, and all of my resources, my courses, indicators, the free Discord you guys can join in. This is going to be below this video. So you can go ahead and build your own toolkit for navigating whatever the next cycle brings to you. Christina, thank you again once more for being here. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Great. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Oof, that was a very intense 30 minutes. I hope you guys loved this. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. I'm sure Christina will answer. And let's be positive and walk empowered out of this. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.